guess we start.
Is it time? Shall we? We're gonna need this full hour and a half to do this for sure.
Yeah, we got this, man.
Yeah,
cool.
let's do this.
By all means.
All right, here we go.
All right, well.
So what do we have? S,
A, B, C, and as we'll get to, we won't need it off the top, but we will need it eventually.
And Y?
You can scroll down.
We already know which one. Yeah, we already all know is gonna go and why.
Yeah, yeah. But it's the question will be for our chat a little bit is how many are going to go and why? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because I mean, there's a couple of choices that were made over a storied career.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
And what's the way we should do this? We should just go like stick chronological.
Yeah, I think we normally do chronologically. It makes sense.
Fuck yeah,
it gives us.
Yeah, some bands we like to throw a couple in S right away or like a legacy record, but like there's no point. They're all fucking legacy records. Let's go chronological. And I'm saying, let's fucking split hairs on this. Like we can't just put the 4 albums in S tier. It cannot be a thing.
No, I'm with it.
All right.
I'm with it. I've got a strong opinion.
All right. So shall we kick it off with 1983's Kill 'Em All?
Kill 'Em All.
Oh yeah. Man. A friend gave this to me for Christmas, man. That was like early on middle school. A friend gifted this to me like around Christmas time. I had already heard Puppets and Lightning, so I was like just like finding my footing. So when I heard this, I was like, who the hell is this Dave Mustaine guy? Like he's got his name written all over here, but I don't see anything on like a picture or anything on him.
Yeah, I mean, it's what could have it is interesting because like I said, we did the Megadeth one, and at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to look back and see how many albums wound up in S or A for Megadeth. Megadeth might have a better career overall than Metallica.
I need to see your Megadeth rankings then.
Yeah,
and compare.
I think that Megadeth is more consistent. I don't think that Megadeth had as bad of a drop-off as Metallica did. I think Metallica's drop-off is, like, epically bad. Only to be as epically bad as, like, Guns N' Roses from, like, Appetite to Illusion, to be honest. Yeah, the drop is really, really bad with Metallica. Like, they piss off. I'm sure they become the biggest band in the world in certain avenues. Like, there's more people listening to them, perhaps. But, like, their core fan base was like, what is going on? And, like, that doesn't really happen with Megadeth until Risk, which is, like, later as well. It's way later. Like, Megadeth's already been through some shit at that point. Perhaps Megadeth has a more consistent career. I mean, I still, like, Megadeth's still my favorite band, I think, no matter what.
That's what's up.
Over Metallica, I think. Like, Metallica's got some better songs. Metallica's got better songs, perhaps, as an individual. But, like, overall great albums, I think maybe Megadeth has. I don't know. It's like, again, splitting hairs, right?
Let's do it.
So let's split hairs. Kill 'Em All is, I mean, I'm going to say A.
I'm going to say A.
I'm going to say A as well.
I feel
Definitely.
like Kill 'Em All is probably the most fun Metallica record because it's definitely the most like confused Metallica record. I mean, outside of where they're like, are we kind of feeling like a fun band who wants to talk about the lights, or are we?
Yeah, it's lively as shit, and it's the only one that talks about headbanging and marshals and fucking literally say we'll never stop.
Because we're Metallica!
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it. Literally.
Can't stop a rocket.
But there is some, I think there's some really good depth to this because it's like for that being almost like the greatest punk album of all time because it's so like, stripped down.
Yeah.
Without, too many harmonies or big production or anything like that. The fact that there's an instrumental on an album like this, and I always forget that there's an instrumental.
Yeah.
But who gives a bass player a whole fucking song to himself? You know what I mean? So this already is like way different than anything else that came around this time, even like Heavy Metal Maniac. And I love the color scheme too, the red, the white, and the black. Like you literally, Heavy Metal Maniac is like right there, and it always reminded me of like that time, that vibe.
Yeah. Maybe best Metallica album cover. Potentially.
It's pretty fucking great.
It's really good. I mean, it's one of those things where it's a photo, but it works so simply. Like you could very easily just draw this like it with 4 colors super simply and put it on there. It's going to have the same impact. Whereas every other Metallica album is like kind of like complicated. You couldn't really do a simple version. You couldn't do like a 2-color screen print effectively of any other Metallica cover. But this red, white on a t-shirt is fucking popping.
Sold, yeah. Yeah, and I think the influence of this, like, you know, you teleport yourself to that time and imagine just this is now the fastest thing anybody on earth has ever heard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The crunchiest guitar tones, the fastest songs.
Rock and roll tone.
His fucking bark of a vocal, like every song, he's got like screeching high highs, and then he digs into like the line. And for being 18, 19, those guitar solos fucking rip, dude. People hate on him now or say what they're going to say, but those, I try to learn the guitar solo to hit the lights, and like I was bleeding, like for real. You know?
It's you said it best, like lively. It is by far the most lively Metallica record.
Energy.
It's like also like it's R.I.P. for Ride Symbol after this album. It's like Lars misplaced his ride for the rest of his career after this album. So it's got that punk and that really fast punk off the top there, that vibe. The vocals like on every fucking song.
Fuck yeah.
And, you know, when I was a kid, I said that it was my favorite Metallica album. I said it was S tier till the day I died. It's the number one, the best. But I don't know, man. As you grow a little and you hear the rest of their albums, I feel like it does sit comfortably in that A spot. I don't think it's as good as some of the other shit they've done.
I'm not mad at it. In the A tier, definitely not mad at it.
Phantom Lord. You could have fucking. It just has a great. Wow, now,
and that's the other thing. The mistake, you know, the contrast between the Lars, the Ulrich and Hetfield team as songwriters versus Mustaine riffage. You know what I mean? Like, like you said, Phantom Lord, Jump in the Fire.
Metal Militia might be one of the coolest songs they've ever written, with their fastest and hardest riffs they've ever written, like straight up. That ascending, like, come on, like it's just fucking awesome.
That's straight like Megadeth material. I didn't really hear Metallica do anything like that after the
never.
Fact.
No, that's David's Spider riffing. That is literally the signature Megadeth riff. So I mean, there's no secret as to who wrote a lot of those parts. I know that Dave wants us to think that he wrote that whole fucking album, but he didn't. He wrote some very key riffs on it though, and it's obvious which ones he wrote. You know, but there's zero argument here. There's no Kill 'Em All freaks in the chat who are freaking out that it's not S. Like, that's an A tier album.
A tier, like hands down, for the so quintessential for the scene and the genre and the time. Like, it proved to everybody else a part of that scene, didn't matter where you were in the world, that this was the next thing happening. Like, for sure. Didn't matter if you were already, you know, embedded in the Bay Area or a poser in LA or, you know, in New York with them, watching them do this, like the Anthrax guys. Fucking A. I mean, I could only imagine being, you know, the German scene and getting this album for the first time. Something like that. Like that's huge.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of S's in the chat, but for me, it's just that it feels like you can tell that you can tell that a guy that isn't in the band anymore wrote some of it. You can tell that one of the songs is from James's old band. You can tell that
it's primitive as shit.
They're like trying to figure it out, and that's kind of why it's not S for me. It's not that it's bad to listen to someone kind of try and figure out, but we're not ranking the albums in a global sense. We're ranking them against Metallica albums.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. No, definitely. This probably has the most like cool factor and the most like rock and roll factor. This is like as close as you get to like a Motorhead record for these guys. You know what I mean?
The guitar tone as well.
Fully. It's like sharp. It's jagged. You know what I mean?
It's just a boss pedal, right? It's just like literal, like it's a kid at a boss pedal into an amp. Like it's rock and roll. It is rock and roll as fuck.
Definitely. The hints of, you know, Cliff's influence are here. Obviously, he's got his bass solo and his bass lines. Like, I remember, if you listen to No Life Till Leather, first of all, the vocals, I'm glad he didn't end up singing like Diamond Head worship vocal style like he did on the I'm glad he went this way with the bark, you know, thanks to all the crust punk and the hardcore punk that these guys were obsessing over too. So that's a major component too, where it's no longer just traditional heavy metal sped up. the crust punk and hardcore punk and all the other types of band, horror punk, whatever, is really prominent here, and that's why we have thrash. So fuck yeah.
Circle to Wagons makes an excellent point, and I think really just sums up what everyone's been saying. It would be an S tier album in a thrash debut tier list, but not in an overall Metallica list. You're 100% right. We are, reminder folks, ranking the albums, as Blaine said, against other Metallica albums, not globally against thrash albums as a whole.
That's it.
It's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
I will. The one thing that for me that kind of ankles me about this record is, and it's Metallica's bad habit and exists throughout this whole career, but it's not as, it's more apparent on this record because it makes the least sense on this record, is like 7-minute songs do not make sense on this record. 7-minute songs don't make sense in any of Metallica's catalog, but this is the time where you're like, Seek and Destroy is really cool, and then you're like, is Seek and Destroy still happening?
It's still happening.
It's funny that
and then
you
live,
say
live it's like an 18-minute jam.
Yeah, they add in all that shit. But it's really funny that you say that Metallica 7-minute songs don't belong on Metallica records, and like Metallica would become the kings of 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11-minute songs. That's like,
I hate it,
dude. They don't have an album under an hour after their second record. Their first album, it's like 54 minutes. It's unbelievable. They've always been an hour-long album band.
I know,
always.
and it's weird, and it's always been a thing where I'm like, this is strange. I know that, fourth biggest rock band of all time, so who am I to? But for me, it's always just been like, why? I don't have a clear understanding why.
Well, the dynamic's cool on this one because you do have like Motor Breath, like 3 minutes, but if they were all like that, I don't think it would have the same like girth, I could definitely see the Four Horsemen, the way they do it live, where they chop out the Sweet Home Alabama part. Like if it was recorded that way, might have a completely different vibe. But
yeah, they cut a bunch of songs live. I was always shocked they cut that riff out live. And Justice, they cut out one of the solos. Like they do.
Right.
They do,
Puppets, they just cut in half, like sometimes. Sick and Destroy, it's like a 20-minute jam.
Yeah.
All the best Metallica songs are close to or bigger than 7 minutes. Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad I'm just saying I wish they weren't. And frequently Metallica wishes they weren't when they play them live. They're like, know what? This doesn't make fucking sense. We got places to be.
We got a 90-minute, 2-hour show. We can only play like 10 songs.
It's just not what, if I existed in a white room exclusively to listen to music, maybe, but I'm a man in the world. I'm a man in the world. Give me some 4.5 minute. What's going on here?
Well, see, I like that we get that substance in the next like 3 records that are coming.
I was gonna say
I am a fan of that. What's about to happen?
Like overnight from 83 to 84, this band goes from what we're saying, this energetic, fun, childish, good, great, finding their roots and showing what bands they like. Overnight, in less than 1 full year, release an album that is like beyond genre defining and probably some of the most adult songwriting out of like compared to the first album, makes the first album look like fucking hokey pokey, and it's unbelievable. Yeah,
it's that thing where Dave Mustaine's like, I wrote all of that album, and you're like, okay, dude, well, it's not a good, not a good point when the follow-up album is Ride the Lightning.
Yeah, we're gonna start. Yeah, they like start the fucking album with this like beautiful harpsichord composition, like into the heaviest riff of all time. Like
one of the only cool intros, like. Intro tracks I hate. I'm always furious about intro tracks. One of the only cool intros that like actually manages to build something for you. S rank next. Yeah, it's like it's almost like we don't even need to talk about it. For me,
so
talk about it.
Ride the Lightning, S tier. I think it's like the greatest thrash album of all time.
Yeah. Very easy. Top of the morning to you. I think it's the best Metallica album. 2. I think Trapped Under Ice is the most underrated Metallica song of all time.
Sure,
I absolutely can't believe they don't play it live ever.
And when they do, it's a big deal. And when they do, it's
one
a
of the
huge
times
deal. I've seen it live once.
Yeah, so have I. I've seen it live once, and this is how like I scratched my head at it because he started playing the riff. They had just finished another song, and it looked like they were kind of fucking around. And he opens, the tune as it goes with that riff, and I'm like, nah. And he keeps playing it, and I'm like, no way. And then they kick into it, and I'm like, all right, fuck my life. Let's do this. Like, it was badass.
Yeah,
like,
I went. I'll
Big moment.
never forget. It was like a tour where I knew what the set list was, and I knew that in the encore section, it was, you know, they'd leave and they would come back, and they were doing like Thing That Should Not, a song off one of the first 2 albums. It was either it was like Dick Rash or Trapped Under Ice or Creeping or something. Cool. There, and then end with like a Seek Sandman situation.
Cool.
And so I knew, I was standing there in the crowd. I'm like, there's a fucking chance that I'm going to see Trapped Under Ice tonight. And they came out and fucking did it. And it was insane. And then I went the night after and they did Blackened in the same slot. Like it was like the, you know, the old school fast song
the rotator,
slot.
Yeah,
the rotator. And so I saw Trapped once and it was fucking awesome. Kirk and James linked up perfectly for that harmony, which is, you know,
that's what's up.
It's asking a lot sometimes with modern Metallica shows that I've seen. So it was fucking awesome to see them slay it. Yeah, that is great call. That is by far one of the most underrated songs in the catalog.
Yeah.
Aggressor used to cover it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good, I mean, it's a great song to cover. It's so good. And
so Lightning, the production on Lightning.
Perfect.
Right? Just you look at the album cover and it sounds exactly how it looks.
Yes.
Like the reverb, the size of the rooms, everything. Like it's probably my favorite snare sound like of all time.
I don't like. There's, you know, I have a weird visualization of like a square when I listen to or like a cube when I listen to records, and I kind of I put the record in this cube and there's like no empty space in the cube with this record. Like everywhere that I want there to be sound, there is. Like it just sounds so full and so there's nothing, there's no like, oh, it's kind of weird, there's this part missing, or I put the highs up a little higher here, or there's too much lows and now I can't hear the highs, so there's all this empty space. Like just every part of it is filled just exactly the way I want. And they knew that too. That's why Fleming gets the job again with them on the next record. It's like they're like, we met our guy. This guy gets our tone, gets our sound. He's doing what we want to do. Like that's why Fleming became such a vital part of the early Metallica sound. It's so funny to listen to the 2 albums, Ride and Kill, side by side, and think that they're less than a year apart. They sound like 2 completely different bands. Yeah,
exactly. Like the jump in dynamics and songwriting, where 8-minute instrumental. One of the biggest like rock anthems of all time with bells.
Yeah.
And I'd like to meet the people that were there, like at the time when this was like fresh and brand new, because I want to know I mean, this has always been a controversial band, sure. I want to know how many people were pissed off that there was a ballad on this record.
I mean,
like
ballad.
You know what I mean?
Ballad.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
You know, but you know what I'm saying? Like to go from, you know, Whiplash, Phantom Lord, etc., and then you open with 3 of the best heavy metal songs ever on this one, and then all of a sudden it slows down, and you know what I mean? He's like pouring his heart out, and you're like, wait a minute.
Dynamics, baby. I love it.
Yeah.
No, me too. Yeah. I mean, I ripped it off left and right. Don't tell anybody. But you already know. But yeah, and then monstrous songs. I do love Escape though. I won't lie. Like Party On.
Escape.
Like that's a fucking
that's a there was a couple in the chat. It's like Metallica doing like, why don't we just do a Judas Priest song? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Why, we're still allowed to have a little bit of fun on this record.
Yeah. For the time and the production and like the way the artwork looks, like that song's pretty spot on. Like 84, like heavy metal. I mean, Defenders is like right there with it, right? So
yeah,
that's the only song I think on this album that's only been played once ever, and it was when they did like that, you know, the
whole record
at Orion Fest or whatever. Yeah, I think that's the only time they've ever played it live. I could be wrong. I think it's been done once. But yeah, James hates that song. Fucking, it's a great song. It's a great song. I know. There's no issues with any songs. On
Why does everyone hate that song? I think it is because it's funny. I don't think the ballad ruffled people wrong. I think them doing something like Escape is maybe the only thing that ruffled people wrong, where they're like, I'm a man, and this song doesn't make me feel like a man. I feel like I'm in a pink Corvette on the beach. You know what I mean? Like, and you're like, pink Corvette on the beach sounds sick, and they're like, no, I can't let people know that sounds sick.
Hodge is so right. Says folks hate Escape because James hates it. Exactly. I just quoted just James's least favorite song.
Men hate it.
He makes that publicly known. Like if your god of, you know, Papa Het says this song sucks, then everyone else is gonna be like, yeah, what he said.
Man. Yeah. But no, complete next level for nobody being older than 22. How the fuck did they write that record?
It's unbelievable.
It's one of those things where you're like,
what?
I don't, it's when, people are talking about, oh, rock's dead or whatever, and you're like, no, it's not. Look, we got all kinds of metal and rock and stuff, but it is crazy that you're like, the impact of this, the sound of it, from like, when I'm like, it's their second record, like these days where I'm like, they did a really good job for a second record. This is crazy. I can't believe that this is good. When you're like, this is someone else's second record, and you're like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, it's still, and what's great is we're talking about how like matured it is, and how it ticks all the boxes, but like, pull yourself back for a minute, it's still raw as fuck. Like, is like so goddamn raw and gritty. It really is a perfect album. And that's why it sits in S tier. And no one is arguing it. Dude, we should do Metallica more often. Everyone's so damn chill with these choices.
Right? I think we're going to when we shift to the next record, this is where we might start getting some people riled up.
Sure. Good. Yeah, as we continue through this list, definitely.
Like, we'll get
opinions, darts, and bullets are going to start flying.
Yeah. Because now the 1-2 punch is over. Now we go into the era where Metallica starts taking 2 years to make an album.
Yeah.
Like, we shift away from 83, 84, and we go from 84 to 86 and 86 to 88. So, the albums start to become way more complex and a lot more to them. And enter Master of Puppets.
I'm still going S.
I'm going to give you my 2 cents here. Growing up, I thought it was the most overrated of the first 4 records. I thought that everybody's saying it's like the most perfect album ever, and it's the best this and all that. I'm like, fuck that, man. Ride the Lightning's way better. Kill 'Em All's way better. Like, I used to be a denier. But yeah, as I grew older, I know that Metallica really on they stick with their 1-2 punch. The 1-2 punch is always perfect on the album. This one's no different. Disposable Heroes is probably the most underrated song, in their catalog. It's like fucking ferocious. I don't know. S, I guess. Like, I grew with it. I didn't love it at first though. It was like my least favorite of the 4 classics.
No shit. Okay, yeah. No, that one. That's my life changer moment. I'd never heard this band before, and I was on a family vacation, super young, and my sister bought this at a CD store. So she literally picked up Lightning and Puppets. There was the blue one, and then this one. I didn't know what the hell she was looking at. I was like into System of a Down and bands, like that's as heavy as I got, being 4 years younger than her. And then the moment Battery kicked in and took the fuck off, I didn't know music could sound like that. I'd never heard anything that fast. When that little mid-verse guitar solo came in, I'd never heard anybody play lead guitar like that. Because in nu metal, there is no guitar, like lead guitar that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's completely void of any kind of solo. So this one for
all
me,
in the mud.
this was basically the life-changing moment where music became like my everything. So that's why I stick it up there. But basically, this one. For me, like you know what I mean? I think I listened to Battery the first day, and I didn't listen to any other song because it was like I didn't even bother. Everything was too slow. So I like you had to go back to this one and go get into Thing and Leper Messiah and those other like deeper cuts. But I think this is a pretty damn good evolution because it basically mimics the template that would become like 80s Metallica. So the acoustic intro with the opening burner, then the title track, then the groove like Anthem, then the ballad, then the rapid fire like Monster, and then somewhere towards the end there's more rapid fire and instrumentals. So it's like template for me. But I definitely think like that particular lineup, songwriting wise, came together, in my opinion, best on this one for sure, where like everybody's voice was like integrated. It wasn't like, oh, just play your guitar solo. Oh, don't worry about harmonies. I got them. Where like here, it's like cool. Everybody was heard. Like, and I definitely put this one up there with Lightning, but I feel how they're interchangeable. But definitely, I'm a fan of this one.
Chat's blowing up here. Oki's great to see you. Katie Copperhead, great to see everybody. a lot of people saying
just
like,
all based on Orion.
this album,
Orion
this album changed my life. This album changed me. Same as Carlos. Yeah, this has changed me. Yeah, exactly.
I'll be the negative Nancy.
No, please do. But literally,
let's hear it.
I bought this, or my sister bought this. I heard it, and then the next week I bought Lightning. So like they're right there. They're both so important to me. Definitely.
For me, you put it next to Ride the Lightning. It is exact same track number, 7.5 minutes longer, in a way that I don't. And I think if I lost those 7.5 minutes, I'd be really happy with this album. But first 3 minutes of Welcome Home, get that out of there. Let me get my scissor fingers in there. And then the thing that should not be, for me, just actually like kills the momentum of the album. I'm like, I feel like I just like lurched in like a public bus and I'm trying to hang on on somebody, like some old lady. I'm like, I'm really sorry about that. Sorry, the bus stopped a lot faster than I thought it was going to. Great album. But yeah, for me, I mean, if we're comparing it to Ride the Lightning, I don't know.
It's fine. Those are my two songs that I don't like on the album, and that was always my thing.
And Sanitarium.
Yeah.
Okay. So you prefer Fade to Black to Sanitarium?
Big time.
Yeah.
Way more epic. Way more epic, dude. Like Fade to Black. That second half of Fade to Black, from that riff. Hairs on the back of my neck. You can hear like fucking horse fucking running down a fucking track when you're like on the outro, man. It's like the gallop and it's just like it's unbelievable. So
and how badass is it that a chorus has no vocals? That's pretty fucking rad.
Right? I always like, as I said, it wasn't my album at first, but the more you fucking listen to it, dude, Damage, Leper, Disposable. Hits aside, obviously the title track's a hit. Obviously Battery's one of the greatest songs of all time. But like all that shit aside, those 3 tracks on the B-side, like the B-side is insane on this record.
Tone-wise, as a guitarist, how do you compare this and Lightning? Way the right hand is fucking just like
the guitar tone is 100% better on this album. It's tighter.
You see the way Blaine turned like immediately when you said that.
The guitar tone on this album is better by 100%. It's cleaner. It's tighter. It accentuates what that right hand is doing, as you so elegantly bring up. It's like try to be a guitar player trying to learn the picking to Disposable Heroes versus try and be a guitar player listening, trying to learn the picking to Fight Fire with Fire. You're like pulling back Ride the Lightning a million times. Like, I can't tell what he's doing. I can't tell what he's doing.
What the hell is he doing? Yeah.
Master Puppets, dude, there's no hiding that right hand. Every little fucking thing is audible. So get better guitar tone. However, here's where I pull back and maybe you get that look off your face. Overall album production, I like the way Ride the Lightning sounds more than I like the way Master sounds. But guitar tone's better on Master. Easy.
That. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, as a non guitar player, Ride the Lightning. It's like I don't need to hear exactly. I don't need to know what he's doing because I already don't know what he's doing. So as long as it sounds cool, and that full box that I was talking about on the last one, this one I do feel there's little bits where I feel like it's a little empty. There could be more full sound there. I feel a little bit of space on the record, which I think they did intentionally, and some people are going to like because it helps you hear things a little more clearly. But for me, that space, I'm like, I don't want fucking space from Metallica. I want Metallica all up in my shit. I want them fucking here, and here, you know?
The riffs are way more intense, too. Like, just the songwriting, the drums and the riffs, like, it's better, like, musically.
The way we were talking about, I agree with that for sure. Where here, I always just found it more refined compared to Lightning. Because rule number 1 was no reverb. So that's the thing we all love. We love the aesthetic, and we love what reverb can do. It's badass when you're listening to like Creeping Death and he's playing the riff by himself, and especially if you hear it on headphones, there's reverb happening all over here. You know what I mean? And the drums sound like, they're in a fucking canyon. So that was the difference. And I think that's a big difference. And I could parallel it to like Slayer Hell Awaits, where that's drowned in verb, the vocals, the drums, everything. And then, so it's like Hell Awaits Lightning or, over here. And then Rain and Blood Puppets do this because it's so dry and like more immediate. So I definitely get the vibe and the character that is being implemented on records that lose like clarity and stuff like that. So I totally get why Blaine is just like, this fills the cube.
Let's toss to the chat real quick.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull up in the chat for 2 minutes.
Of what their favorite is,
Who
Ride or
reigns
Master?
supreme, Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets?
I think both albums are going in the S tier. It's which one's above the other.
It definitely seems like the chat will not stand.
Vote.
But you can vote for whether Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets is the number one.
You know what? It's great. You bring up like the verb thing and the creating atmosphere. Like it goes back to Ride the Lightning. They created a storm atmosphere. It matches
literally.
It matches that album cover with Master of Puppets. It's so refined that it's just in your face immediately. It's like, hey, want to hear the most intricate guitar riffs that have ever been written by anyone at this point in history? It's like, want to hear the best compositions, the best vocals, the best drumming. Like this was the top of music for this point. They can both be S, but one can sit above the other in the S tier. Yes, they can both go in S, but like we can split hairs, of course, on which is above the other.
I love this. This is so good.
Slash Bunny, how can it be S when it isn't even in the top 3 thrash albums released that year?
Sup.
But yeah, it is very close. Currently, the poll is sitting at 42 for Ride the Lightning to 35 for Master of Puppets.
Right. Yeah, I could go either way, basically. This one was the introduction, but literally the next week I had Lightning, and I obsessed over both of them, and they are my, heavy metal Bibles that basically taught me everything I know. So, like, without those two records, like, my formative years would have been very different, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like, you know what, if it was up to me and the chat didn't have their vote on this, because right now I see there's some bits tomfoolery going on for sure. I think that they both sit in S, and I would put Ride over Master in the S tier.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the chat, some people are pulling very hard. Currently, it's sitting at 67 to 71 for Master of Puppets was 72. Ride the Lightning was 68. 74
it's
was Master of Puppets.
Split down the middle. It's
75.
Yeah.
48 to 53. Oh, 47.
79 to 60. 79 to 60. 81 to 69.
69.
82 to 71. Master of Puppets. Wrong.
Oh, yeah?
Jade, I hope the $4 was worth it.
I said wrong.
But
I mean, I learned a lot from digging into like the composition and going, okay, I totally hear Cliff, and I like the stories of like, okay, Lightning still has Mustaine influence on the title track and on Cthulhu, and Puppets doesn't at all whatsoever, even though he claims it does or whatever for Leper Messiah. But when you get to hear like the middle section in Puppets or the whole middle section of Orion or the intro to Damage, it's pretty visceral shit that like somebody who loves, Simon and Garfunkel, Leonard Skinner, and Bach, these 3 other kids who are like, no, bro, Misfits and Motorhead, what the fuck are you on about? Like,
yeah,
are you in the right band? It's like we have these records to prove that was like a quintessential part of these 2 records, like specifically.
Hey, we got Lava Squiddy in the chat saying, hi, Carlos. I saw you with Warbringer in Rhode Island and Connecticut on the last run. You guys rule.
Fuck yeah. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Watch them both be outclassed by St. Anger. Look, we're not going to allow the chat. No one in the chat is going to spend money to soil this proceeding. We can allow people to spend money to put.
So what was the final vote?
The final vote was
Master.
81 to
Puppets.
6. I think 81 to 69. Wow. You can use money to get extra votes. So I think there was some we saw that there was a lot of money thrown at
just hit the
Master.
A little bit of tomfoolery, a little pachinko action.
I think probably it's pretty even. I think there was some cash going to Ride the Lightning too. So I don't think it's totally fraudulent.
We'll allow it,
yeah.
But just like real elections in real life, everything can be swayed a little, right?
Yeah, look. No one can buy the whole thing, but you can tip a razor thin scale with a couple of dollars. We were talking about how heavy those toonies are at the start of the stream.
Yeah.
Toonies and loonies are nuts, man.
Guys, stop the steal! Ride the Lightning! Stop the steal!
I'd play if it was my stream. There's this guy, and he got kind of famous because he's like, it's like this country song, and he put it out right on the day or two after election day or whatever, and he's playing, and it's this song. He's like singing, and then it goes. And then he's like, it's a kind of quiet country song talking about the state of the election. He goes, And they found pallets full of ballots at 3 a.m. How the fuck did election day turn into election week? They found pallets full of ballots.
Seriously, bro.
Hilarious.
One of my favorite.
Okay. Pallets full of ballots, man.
Pallets full of ballots. It's a great. It's truly a great song made by a deranged man.
Man.
But yeah. So well, there you go. There you go. I mean, you know. I think it's wrong, but it's not egregiously wrong.
No, not at all. We got both those albums in S tier. Come on. Ride should sit above Master,
absolutely.
but we'll let the chat have this one.
Yeah.
Well, the chat has it. I mean, if you look at the course of heavy metal, everybody determines Lightning is the best thrash metal record, but then when you get to Puppets, they'll deem it as like heavy metal, even though we all put it in the thrash category. Yeah, sure. But on like a bigger scale, like Puppets, you know, was put into the Library of Congress for like National Recording Registry.
Yeah.
So a bunch of punk ass kids with, you know, shitty shoes and Misfits shirts, 24 years old, didn't know what the fuck, you know.
A large drinking problem as well.
Yeah, exactly. What? Like, it makes no sense. But basically, these three right here, heavy metal would be a lot different without those three records.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Alcoholica in the Congress. Unbelievable.
Right? Right. And then basically after this point, I don't think they've never not played an arena since this. You know what I mean? Since
it's over.
86. It never went smaller. They never had a slum, etc. Or like, you know, as far as like,
I mean, they should have had to
draw and ticket sales and you know, etc.
Yeah, they should have. They should have been marched. They should have been marched down to a greasy bar with 8 people that aren't for a little bit there. But we're not quite in that area yet. We are on Justice. 88 Justice. An album I don't particularly care about. It's not that I hate it. It's just for me, it's like this is where I start to feel like, well, we're getting
a drug.
This is a long fucking record.
Yeah, their compositions. They're not songs at this point. They're like trying to do the prog thing, but not really though. They're just. It's not that the riffs are proggy to me. It's the compositions are proggy to me. It's like
it's the arrangements. For
sure. Why are they so long?
Especially on the B side.
Why is he bringing it back? Even in your title track, why does he bring it back for a third verse after that huge solo section and the huge bridge and the huge interlude? Like, do we really need another A-B thing? Like, get the fuck out of here. This song doesn't need to be 11 and a half minutes long. Yeah. For the same riff. Listen, if your song's 11 and a half minutes and it's like one of these like atmospheric songs that drifts in and out of different movements, like that's one thing. When your song has 4 riffs and it's still 11 minutes, it's much.
Yeah. Well, this is the first time they tip the scales to over an hour on a record.
This is when they crack the over an hour.
This is when they crack the hour.
And you know what the thing is? They would never go back either.
They
became an over an hour band.
Once that door's open, they never shut that shit.
Their new albums, even like when fucking Hardwired was coming out, I looked at them like, hour and 18 minutes. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Just give me that nice 40 minutes, bro, and I'll put it on over and over again.
40 to 46 minutes. That's my cap. Let's do it.
35 to 46.
Yeah.
It's not it. I'm giving you 11 minutes. I'm giving you 11 minutes to land this fucking plane.
I love how Slayer's Rain and Blood on cassette is literally the full album on both sides. Because it's so short.
Yeah, it's awesome. Right? The same programming on both sides. No need to rewind. Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I get what you're saying. This one, because if I'm putting this one up there, to me, out of the first 4, that's number 4.
Yes,
for me.
Absolutely.
Me as well.
So does that go B or does that sit up in A?
I think it's still A. Blackened, title track,
Blackened is fucking,
Harvester,
One. Afraid of Insanity, Dyer's Eve,
it's
Harmony section is to live is to die is huge.
Yeah.
So
like I would go A personally, but I mean, you know, if someone has an argument why it has to live in B, then
hey, as always,
put it to the chat.
Put it to the chat. Justice! Exclamation point.
Yeah.
Justice.
The funny thing to me is that this got all the flack for bass and how it was mixed in, but if you listen to like all its pure records of the time, maybe besides Anthrax, but like everybody and Megadeth, but like Slayer, did you ever really hear the bass? It was never like highlighted. It just kind of filled in the sound.
I mean, better than Slayer. Slayer never had bass at any point in their career. So
like maybe Hella Waits because the guitars are like tiny
Yeah.
and like bass and drums and vocals is all you really hear. But but yeah, I always thought that was interesting where it's like, I definitely see where records are getting more polished and becoming more dry. South of Heaven, maybe not Megadeth. So Far So Good So What was fucking so funny. So Far So Good So What was mixed by Michael Wagner, who did Puppets, and I'm pretty sure it was said intentionally to try to do what they did, but who knows? That's coded in reverb.
A legendary Michael Wagner who like recently retired, which means I'm never gonna get to have an album released by Michael Wagner.
Or you have to just get good enough to bring him out of retirement.
He came and saw Diamonds live, and I got a picture of them. And in the photo, he's whispering in my ear, "I would love to do your next record." And I'm like, you can see in the photo, my face is all lit up, and I'm like, yeah. And then he like retired. Yeah.
No, the band I'm producing and working with now, it's very much like a Scorpions Ozzy type of thing. So we were listening to all these records back to back, but his mix on Dawkins Under a Lock and Key, wow.
Yeah.
Like, just talking like Sonics, like for the time, not if you don't like Dawkins, whatever the fuck, but that record, that guy did some work on that.
He's all like digital. He's all like digital and modeling now, by the way.
B is taking 36 to 46 for B.
And Justice is gonna get put in the B category. I cannot believe this. Have you guys heard Blackened?
Yeah, that's one of the greatest like extreme metal songs ever.
Matt Kinski may be giving us a person on the street. I never heard anyone talking about the bass thing at the time. People didn't start obsessing about that until years later.
Isn't that interesting? Exactly. When it came out, I'm sure people were like, "Oh, so what? There's no bass. Yeah. It's heavy metal." But yeah, see, I always found that interesting. But here you get a really fucking pissed off field, and you get Ulrich. Okay, this is where he drops the ride, because there is ride symbol on Disposable Heroes.
Yeah.
There is ride symbol throughout Lightning on Five Fire with Fire and the title track and Cthulhu. But yeah, this is where it's like super dry, but he makes up for it with all those fucking fills and all that double bass. Like, goddamn.
Oh, Charlie Benante's double bass.
Right. Lars Ulrich's double bass.
Yeah, Lars Ulrich's double bass. Yeah, well, I'm not so sure about that. And the people who were in the room are the only ones who truly know, but I don't know about
this. A thing that hasn't been talked
about. Could punch in like a motherfucker.
That this album is like, there's like a gauge in Metallica's career where start of the career, fucking hitting lights and demons and whatever. And then they start getting a little, then thrash is a little, right, and then thrash is a little political. So yeah, True Cult Records cash in, and it lives in A where everybody thinks it should. So yeah, you start getting a little political. Thrash is getting a little political, so you start, and this is definitely the, like, lyrically, content-wise, the most mature, coherent, sane Metallica ever is, and then almost
it's almost concept.
And I'm really happy that you joined us, Carlos, for this Metallica album tier ranking. I think it was great. We got these 4 albums ranked, and hope everyone's happy about it. And too bad they broke up after that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm gonna leave off for Justice that, like, in terms of what it did for heavy metal landing, on Billboard the way it did, getting them to the Grammys the way it did, where it's like, again, these drunk ass cocaine-ridden speed metalers sitting next to Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder and et cetera, how? And not even 30 years old yet.
Yeah.
Like what, how it translated, especially with that music video. That's definitely probably my favorite music video of all time. For one, just it's grim. Everybody else is in the arena and partying. Like, it's so depressing.
And it's crazy. It's not till 1988 that this band has a single and a fucking music video. Their 4th album. There's like no mainstream press, no mainstream PR. They don't have fucking music videos. They weren't on MTV. They weren't on any of that shit. It was like literally not till 1. It's wild how much success they had. They're already playing fucking arenas. It's crazy.
On their own.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just not. I mean, honesty, just honesty in music. You just no need for any of that shit. Just no need. It was this just works. People like this. People want this. Done.
You know, I think my last take on Justice is that I think my favorite thing that related to Justice ever is the Justice medley that Metallica used to do, because I think that that's them recognizing there's a lot of good riffs on this album. It's too long. Like, it's too long. Let's do a quick medley. Let's give them the 5 best riffs from the 5 best songs, and let's go. There's also that story that the first time on the tour when they played And Justice live, they played the title track live, that after 11 and a half minutes of that, they all walked to the wings of the stage and they're like, hey, like, let's never do that song live ever again. Like, that's too much.
So I pulled up Brian Taylor, the purveyor of Toronto's finest record store, Rotate This, and an important part of both punk and metal history. Worked at the Sky Dome for a while. And he posted a little while ago just a page from Metallica's Rider in 1991, which is we're about to come up. And there's one really great thing, which is, and this is 1991. I've talked about this before. This is 1991, but Metallica really being ahead of the curve here. Tea and coffee set up to include a drip coffee maker with extra filters and coffee. Bold letters, 4 exclamation points. No instant ever. We will be brewing our own coffee, and if you do not provide that, Metallica will not play.
Instant coffee. My rider says no instant coffee, and for water says no Dasani.
Oh yeah. And the booze.
Mine says purified water. I don't fuck with Spring anymore.
See, Blaine, you're not a musician. You don't realize these are very normal requests.
No, I'm not saying
divas.
I'm not saying this is an abnormal request. I'm saying good on Metallica for even in 1991. Now people care about coffee, but in 1991,
it was normal for your grandma to still mix you an instant coffee after dinner.
Fucking crystals. Everybody was like, "Damn, can you believe these crystals taste just like coffee?" And Metallica was like, "We are ahead of the curve on this one. They do not." Fuck off. That's right. But I like 2 cases Heineken beer, 1 case Budweiser beer, or Coors Light cans if possible. But like the number one choice. Like, I know I'm asking. I know we're in Canada and it might not be available, but if you can get Coors Light cans, baby, let's go.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll go to I'll come by next time I'm in Toronto. I'll fucking smuggle them into the country.
Someone asked, what's wrong with spring water?
Not that I'm like, whatever, like after the course of drinking it for so long, I could definitely tell the difference between that. It's just the taste for me. It's like this back end that I get off of Spring that I don't get with purified. So I'm like, cool. Like, I'm going to go this way now.
Yeah,
it's literally just personal preference. There's nothing wrong with it.
I think there is something. Quick, not to be that guy in the room, but I mean,
do it.
Purified water is just coming from your whatever
filter,
wherever you are, a system there that's naturally designed to provide water for the population, whereas spring water is just like, hey,
I got a bottle,
let's ruin the entire fucking farmland of somewhere by sucking all the water out of it fucking and putting it in bottles and shit. Spring water is atrociously
I only
bad
do Fiji
for the
water.
environment.
I do no Dasani, Fiji preferred.
And there's especially in North America, there's a lot of actually all over the world, there's a lot of native and indigenous people whose lives are ruined in order to provide water. Oil gets a lot of attention as a horrible thing, but water, the harvesting of water in the world is so that you can write Fiji spring bottles on a bottle is truly one of the great crimes that we are not acknowledging. So to answer the question in the chat, I gotta say I picked a great time to talk about this because in Justice, Metallica would agree with me. This is the time when they would agree with me.
When Hatfield would agree with you, yeah.
Dear Beer Kaiser, thanks for giving us something. Ginger Principle, Coffee Beats Tea coming in for the coffee conversation, and True Cult Records with 500 bits after fixing the poll to have Injustice for All in A, where I believe the general chat feels it belongs. But now that we've gotten that
1991,
now we move on to, as I introed it with the rider, 1991, a very controversial year in metal music. The Black Album. Lysurgical Steel, thanks for gifting the sub to Nestle Sucks.
I think that all I need and want to say
yes
about the Black Album I'm fully aware of its commercial success. I'm fully aware that it created one of the biggest hard rock heavy metal songs of all time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's very telling, though, that in the same era when Metallica was putting out the Black Album, Megadeth had an album out called Rust in Peace that is like the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Like, this is a huge miss for me. This wasn't the state of music at the time. It's not like, oh, they made a rock record because they had to. They made that decision. Their peers went this way, and they went this way. And for me, it ain't it. It ain't it. For me, it ain't it.
Okay.
It's a B. Does it have a wolf and man? Absolutely, it does. But I mean, is it anything better than a B from me? Nah, dog.
I mean,
He said nah, dog.
Enter Sandman. I probably heard Enter Sandman before I even knew what Metallica was, and I mean it's an amazing song. I mean, it's stupid to not act like it's an amazing song, and it's so fun. And
it ain't it, Chief.
It's fun and funny and
sitting there pouting with his arms crossed.
There's all kinds of great. I mean, I'm not gonna because I just to be. I wrote down all the positives I can think about it. It's fun to sad but true.
What is it?
What is it? It's fun to sad but true as well, along with the song.
Yes.
It's fun to sad but true along with the song. Holier Than Thou, bit of a classic feel to it still.
A Wolf and Man's the sleeper track on that one. That's a good tune.
Unforgiven. If there wasn't a whole host of list of terrible things that the Cowboys did, I would say
Cowboy songs.
The Cowboys, fucking goddamn it, the worst thing they ever did was introduce themselves to James Hetfield so he could figure out what a cowboy was and just never let that shit fucking go. God damn.
Where I lay my head is home.
Where I May Roam is the classic. Could be a cool 3-minute track in 7 minutes. Present me a cool 3 minutes over the course of 7. Classic. Through the Never. They managed to not have it overstay its welcome. Probably the last time in their career that they have a track do that. And I would, if this album was just the exact same album, but the whole thing was like 10 BPM faster on every song, it would probably be amazing. But it's just too slow. I just as a fucking, I don't know, jittering maniac, I am like, I need something to happen a lot
you
during
want
the record.
Speed, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, like, either you need to slow this way the fuck down or speed this way the fuck up. I'm not into this middle ground.
Ginger Principle killing it here. When a band is as significant as Metallica, their songs alone do not determine the importance of their albums. It's their overall impact. Black Album is a C due to the overall shift of their music to the shittier.
Interesting. So look, we know no one. I mean, I don't think anyone's trying to put it in an A.
I mean, I'd put it in, compared to those 4, if I'm going to go with the first 5, it is number 5. That's a given.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I've grown to love it over the course of time. I mean, obviously, when I was a child, my uncle was into it, and my uncle was there when it came out and bought it. And I always refer to it as the Neverland song because I was a child. And that was my point of reference for it. But now that I, dive into the world of audio and production and things of that nature, and, when I apply it to my own records, I've learned a lot from this record, like sonically. And if we're obviously, it almost sounds like a different band, sure. And I totally get that. If you're there in the time and you're coming off of, these first 4 albums going, this is my Metallica, and you hear what the fuck just came out, with Sandman or whatever, yeah, a lot of people fucking, it's blasphemy, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I get it now to
2
where...
comments worth reading.
Yeah.
Hit me.
Yeah. Okay,
basically, now, like you're talking, like things were either way too slow or not fast enough. Like, I get that, especially with like the burner tracks, Holier and Through the Never. But like, again, I'm just talking production and sonics, like drums. Damn, you can actually hear the bass guitar and it lives where it's supposed to. Damn, the wall of Hetfield on this, especially at the end of Holier Than Thou, where you hear the drum and bass break. And then 1 guitar, 2 guitar, 3 guitars like layer in, like shit like that. I delve into way deeper and have a better appreciation for this record because of that. But I accept it as being like a hard rock record, not quintessential thrash metal or anything anymore. So that's where like this lives for me. So I have no problem putting that in B.
Yeah. So Dark Lord Fabio, B is probably the best tier. It would make a great delineator between albums that can be objectively considered great, A and up, and their albums that are objectively lacking, C and under. Yeah, same with Coffee Corrupts at SBB, because the rest of their albums are like 3 tiers lower and wouldn't fit on the scale. But bring up the good point, a quote by some guy named Sam Dunn. I don't know if we've heard of him. Being an artist is tricky. Nah. You're going to get hate for doing the same thing, but you're also going to get hate for doing something different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yeah. People just hate all the time. Yeah, because you suck. Maybe if your music was consistently good all the time, we wouldn't have to hate you. You see?
But even if you hate it, you're still talking about it.
Yeah. So
it's still in the ether. It's still in everybody's mind. And the thing I fuck with here is that ended up being, one of the literally in the top 20 selling records of the human race somehow. Yeah. And we have those DVDs because of the magnitude of this. We have that year and a half, which is awesome. I love the studio footage and them arguing about shit like that. So yeah, I'm good with B. Definitely. But it's interesting that they, like you were Dan, you were talking about the timeline, and Rust in Peace, and you had Persistence of Time, and you had Seasons of the Abyss, and they're all out on tour while these guys are trapped in the studio. So there is already a bit of separation where it's like the kings of thrash metal over here are doing the biggest thing for the genre to date, while these guys are, in the cave for 9-10 months developing this.
Crafting this like masterpiece of a classic rock record or a hard rock record. I think that Deadpan said something very interesting. He's like, it wasn't broke. For some reason, they tried to fix it anyways, and they ended up selling 100 million records.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I definitely get the sense of direction necessary when we're already talking, Justice and To Live Is To Die are 10 minutes. The whole record is just a bunch of riffs thrown everywhere. Can't hear the bass guitar, whatever the arguments are for Justice. So I get where, production-wise, step out of your comfort zone, surrender to something new. Yeah, you probably, maybe not the best idea to pick the guy who did Slippery When Wet and Dr. Feelgood, but hey, if that's what you're going for, it made sense. Because the faster tempo stuff with that production, you just couldn't have songs like Fight Fire or Battery with Black Album production. It wouldn't translate the same way, you know what I mean? So you needed Sad But True to be as pocket as it is, for those guitars and whatever to stick that way. So again, yeah, my appreciation for that record grew with like Sonics.
Yeah,
it's big picture.
It's interesting, yeah, because it is like it almost is kind of a similar thing to like how the hell did they go from Kill 'Em All to Ride the Lightning? Like, how did you suddenly get that much more professional? I mean, whether people like the album or not, it's like, Justice is like, again, a little confused. Like, what are you doing? Are you becoming a prog band? You don't play quite well enough to be a prog band. What's happening here? And then somehow, like, they spend a lot of time in the studio, but normally 9-10 months in the studio is a fucking album's gonna fucking suck. And somehow spending that much time in there, they basically made like an iPhone. You know what I mean? It's like they made this like perfect commercial product. That's right? So it's like whether you want to be like, I didn't like the album, like fucking they made something that they can just go, here you go, and everyone will go, I'll fucking take that. And it's just like weird where it's like, where the fuck did this energy come? Like how did you like
nailed it?
But see, with a record like this, and there's plenty of other records, I mean, obviously not all of their peers made the same move. I mean, you had Countdown following Rust in Peace, right? You had Sound of White Noise following the Joey era. So everybody made the shift they needed to make. These guys just did it before shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
Kind of, had a foresight, but maybe it was honest and to themselves. Again, not even 30 years old. What the fuck?
Yeah, a what the fuck moment.
Yep. But I'm pretty sure if I were there at the time, I was only 1 year old, like a year old when this thing came out. But I'm pretty sure if I were there and still pissed off that it's a new band that made this crazy, I'd probably still go see them in concert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Why wouldn't you? You're gonna go see fucking Metallica, play in the round and still fucking tear it up. Like, because these songs live, way different energy. If you're at a Metallica show now, if they're playing songs on here you can't stand, maybe on the record or compared to
Of Wolf
live,
and Man, they play live. It's fucking insanely good.
Banger.
Yeah.
Riff. That's a Hammett riff too. So and sad and Sandman. So that's where the Hammett money comes from.
Haha.
Hell yeah.
I mean, even objectifiably garbage tracks like The Unforgiven live is like it is still different. Like they are still like trying to put you in a place, and you don't want to go to that place, but you are getting kind of like dragged there, kicking and screaming. You're like, yeah, it's sad but true. Live is fantastic. Yeah, right. I mean, there's you know, they made a
like,
stadium rock album.
Exactly. The tempos needed to be what they were because you're playing all this busy shit. It's not going to translate into a bigger room. The smaller the room, fucking 300 BPM, you know, kick blast beat or whatever the fuck you're doing. But you want to play arenas, yeah.
There might not be a roof where you're fucking playing. There literally might not be a roof.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
You know? And I learned that, honestly, like my firsthand experience with that was, again, the power trip thing. I always go back to that because it was such a great experience. But like my band has wicked double bass and blast beats and rapid tempo changes and left-right composition, all this shit. And you see it the way it translates to an audience. And when you get to play in front of a much bigger audience and everybody in the band is literally just going, it translates so much better, and everybody immediately latches onto it and starts fucking moving, even if they've never heard you before. Over, you know, whatever. You see the difference, like the distinction, like firsthand experience. That's kind of how I felt with that record.
Yeah,
and how it translates to an audience versus, you know, your core.
Yeah, I mean, those notes have to travel to the fucking nosebleeds.
Burn Nuts poses a great question. Then maybe we should move on from Black Album because it's like beating a dead horse. But if the Black Album came out later in their career, would it be perceived differently in a conversation like this?
I think so, because it wouldn't be
a betrayal.
Well, maybe, but I don't know. I want to say it would be because of the place and time. You know what I mean? Like, where would like literally all of these records, if you put yourself in the seat of buying it the day of, where was the world at that point? What was the scene at that point? Who were the president at that? You know what I'm saying? All that type of shit. Yeah. It'd be very different. Like, I'm coming out in 99 versus 91. You know what I mean? Like, would people even still care? Who knows? Yeah.
Imagine if they'd gone straight from Justice to Load, though. Okay, that would have been way worse.
You see, yeah. It wouldn't have made sense. You know, they going into Load. It's like, okay, now we're in our 30s. Now we're millionaires. Now we just toured for 3 years nonstop. Now what? It's, you know, now it's the 90s now. It's like this whole other guard of music has taken over. There's rap, there's hip hop, there's grunge, there's alternative rock. Pop music, and the pop world is completely different, and none of our friends, like, we're literally like, we're the only ones left. Where do our friends go? Like, how many bands called it a day? How many of their peers that they grew up with, like Exodus and Death Angel, called it a day?
Literally, like, just we're like, nope, this is dead. Enjoy Seattle. We're out of here.
Sure.
So, I think we can scroll. We can scroll a little bit. I don't think we're gonna need the S anytime soon.
No, I think we're gonna A, B, C, and Y. Here it's load next.
Load is next.
And I need to be. I don't have a ton to say on Load. I would just like to say that it was
maybe 2 jokes.
Less than. You're like, I got some jokes. That's about it. I would say it's less than 2 years ago that I actually just found out what the album cover was. I always thought it was flames.
It's a bunch of fucking blood and cum.
Blood and semen, baby.
Yeah, I was literally on Twitch talking about it, and someone's like, like, do you not realize that's common blood? I'm like, what do you mean it's common blood? It's flames. It's like a load, like an engine, or, you know, like. No, that's common blood.
Straight up. The guy who did the cover art is a guy whose whole thing is he just like
using bodily
fucking puts bodily fluids between sheets of glass. So literally, you called your fucking whoopsie album Load, and it's covered in cum. Is hilarious.
The logo's different. You turn it around, it's a bunch of short-haired dudes in Cuban like pimp suits with cigars at a table.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you guys doing? Like,
I'm very confused.
Yeah. There's I grew to like some of the songs because of stuff like S&M, you know what I mean, that I was obsessed with early on, so some of their highlights that are on that record are pretty cool and like well done for maybe that setting. But as like a full record, I literally could not tell you the track list of that record.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it
you know
is again just
like Ain't My Bitch is cool. It's got a cowboy
4x4.
2x4.
Yeah, 2x4.
No, you thought 4x4 because the record sounds like it's coming from the back of a Dodge Ram. like I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Like maybe what was it, the last song on the record they did on S&M, and I thought that was good, the Outlaw song.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Yeah.
But again,
it's like a blues rock band, and they're like literally here, this and the next one, they're just kind of ripping off like I hear a lot of lifts from like the Dio Sabbath era, which I thought was pretty cool.
Another crazy thing to me is just that I mean, I've been complaining about it the whole time, but Load is an hour and 18 minutes long.
Unreal.
Who the hell has ever made it through this record in one sitting? I couldn't imagine.
I break it up.
Even as a child, because I got into them as a child, like 13. I remember just like it was one of those things where I didn't understand quite yet, you know, like this. I just got Metallica's catalog. I didn't know about like fucking Inner. So I'm going through all of them. Fucking hell yeah, and then Load. I'm just like confused. I'm like, should I pretend to like this? Am I supposed to like this? Do I not understand music? What is happening here?
Fully. So for me, I'm gonna put Load in the Y.
I'm also putting Load in the Y.
Because it's such a big fucking shift, like worse than Black Album. At least Black Album was still like a hard rock, to a degree, a groove metal record. And, you know, we consequently have Sepultura and Pantera and all that shit doing the groove thing. But this, like, way different band. Like,
we need to put this to the chat. We need to put this to the chat.
I'm flummoxed. I'm perplexed.
Somehow there's a huge majority who are saying C. So C or Y. Before
we put this to the chat.
Well, see, I like.
DK's got to go to the bathroom. DK's furious. He's left. Look what you've done, chat.
The only reason I put this in the Y category is because I heard Reload before I heard Load, and I always thought, I mean, again, child, like we're taking, 11, 12 years old, I heard Fuel. And I was like, okay, that's the rockin' song. So I like Reload better than Load. So I'm going to put Reload in C. That's why Load has to be beneath it.
I love you. That's exactly the way I feel. Load has to be in Y because I do feel like Reload is a fully better album. It's so much better. Time. It's that Load has no energy. There's no life.
Like if you had taken the best songs on Load and got rid of the worst ones on Reload and just put all the best on one record instead of having two separate ones, you might have much better fucking mid-90s Metallica that wasn't so like, what the fuck did you guys do?
Yeah. So I don't know anything on nothing on Load is better than Fuel for sure. Like Fuel buries that entire record.
Basically.
The Unforgiven 2 might actually be better than the Unforgiven 1 because at least there's some like energy in the song too. Yeah, right? At least there's some energy. And the final case, because I'm going to hammer this home throughout this whole thing because I still don't understand it. Reload, the final point for Reload being better than Load, 3 minutes shorter.
What's that?
Thank fucking God. That? The first time in their career they went, should we dial it back a bit?
The closer on Reload is badass too because that whole riff is like a Tony Iommi riff that they only play once on the Mob Rules. I think it's Falling Off the Edge of the World. The intro to that. It's literally the entire Fixer
I didn't know
song.
That.
Yeah, so if you go back and listen, I'm like, oh, I see what you did there. Like trying to get away with shit in the 90s, Hetfield. I see you. Not that your whole career isn't ripping off Iommi, but yeah.
But
I
love this.
Reload to me is better than Load, so that's why it's just has to sit higher.
Okay.
On this table.
Okay. Cool. So this is the poll I'm going to put to the chat because they're both not living in the same tier. I refuse.
Exactly.
It is so much better.
Cannot live on the same tier.
So I mean, if who gets to be in C is the question.
Who gets to be in C?
neither of them are like fully deserving, but only one of them gets to be there because there's no way. So
yeah, Reload's better than Load.
That's what we're all saying. Yeah,
Reload's got fuel.
Fuel.
Ooh, when I burn, fuel it, pumping engine.
Fuel is
something about gasoline. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like,
so
bitch
chat.
and riff, bitch and breakdown. It's still the Reload. Literally, if you just break down that middle section, when it gets to those chunk and chugs, that right hand is still there.
Yeah, you're right.
That right hand is still there. So I'm like, cool. I don't really hear that right hand anywhere on Load. So at least I got a little bit, in 90s fucking 7.
Yeah. Again, and they've dialed back that fucking cowboy bullshit a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
It's not. It doesn't feel like a fucking record being like, well, all that money's in middle of America, so let's just write records for them now. We used to write songs about justice, but where'd this voice come from?
Everyone makes fun of that song. Feel fucking like everyone makes fun of that silly song, but like. That fucking chorus
that shit roars,
that
bro.
is
oh my God.
Dude, the high harmony in that chorus he's doing is like, yeah, ooh, when I burn the when I burn. It's like it's
rocking, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's a rocking
I
song.
figured you guys would hate Fuel because it's so popular. No, we don't just hate things because
it's
popular
because it's a good fucking song.
Sometimes things are popular for the right reason, which is that Fuel
like
is
that,
pretty
literally,
fucking fun.
Like for the time, like the latter half of the 90s, that is fucking rock music to me.
That is a rockin' hard rock heavy metal.
That's where it lives.
Yeah.
Because literally there's like a band named after that song, and then all of their peers that had their scene, whatever the fuck that scene is, I don't even know. Like, yeah, it feels an important song for like that time.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me the C rank I desire.
Come on, how do you give me fuel, give me fire, give me that? It's fucking good. Neck veins popping, doing it. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
He's moving it. He's moving it, ladies and gentlemen.
34 Reload to 11 Load. Thankfully, we're good.
Reload goes C tier. It's a better album.
No mix up. Reload, because I mean, we have to talk about them together because they're fucking apparently a double album or some shit. Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? Is it all from the same session or why?
I have no idea why.
They had too many songs for one album. Why is Load Reload? Why is it Load and why is it Reload? Anyone know? What's the story?
I mean, maybe Reload is an apology.
It's same session, says Dear Beer Kaiser.
Same session? That's crazy. Well, it's wild that it's the same session because they literally sat down and went, well, all the bad songs can come out first. And then we'll put out the all right songs. If Load is Y tier, then please add Jank tier for Saint Anger. I mean, we might have to talk about that. We might have to have a conversation about that.
You're right.
We might have to have a conversation about that. But 34 to 11, Reload goes to the C. Load lives where it belongs in Y, because as I said, those are not the same.
Why are the album covers so fucking gross too, man? Well, when I found out that those album covers were not what my whole childhood was ruined. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that Reload was like some abstract weird like painting or like a heat scale like depiction of like a.
And you probably thought Reload, which is what I originally thought, was like fuel or something.
Yeah, no, it was like a fuel engine. Yeah, like not piss with blood in it.
Piss with blood.
And the first one's common blood. It makes it gross, dude.
Also, the logo change. Yeah, big whoopsie there. Logo change. Not an improvement.
No.
I mean, it's also weird because it's who was like, Metallica, that logo, it's not timeless. We need something fresh. That logo is so timeless that Urban Outfitters still sells it to people who have no idea what it is and just go, wow, that I like the way my eyes feel looking at that.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just checking.
Cool. We were all tweaked.
My audio went out for a second. It's all good. Not sure.
We're all tweaked. But now.
All right, 2003, huh?
Yeah, 6 years, the largest layoff of Metallica's career. They should have relaxed a little bit. Truly a demented record. I mean, insane.
Here we go, baby. Look how excited everyone is. Here we
go.
Insane.
All right.
Insane.
So do I make the call for S tier or are you going to do it?
I have never been able to make it through this record. I don't know what this whole record sounds like. Immediately from the break, it is just, regardless of what they're playing, regardless of the quality of music, it physically hurts to listen to, no matter what you're listening to it on. It is a painful sound. And I mean, I'm not trying to be silly. I mean, I'll immediately be silly by saying that he sounds like a fucking bucket drummer in the subway. It's impossible that's not coming from. I don't know, how do you make a drum skin sound like that? That is I think he was maybe trying to debut a new product where he was like, drum heads that never need replacing. And then honk. Like, it's a meme. It's one of the few 100%, I'd say, unlistenable records in the world. Yeah, they saw what they saw what brutal death metal was doing, and they tried to get a piece of that or something. It is, I don't even know. You know, people make fun of Lulu. I'd listen to Lulu 12 times through before I listen to Saint Anger once. And then James's voice as well. Just fucking voice. It's if you told me there was no there was no guitars or bass on this record, I'd believe you. All I can hear is that fucking drum sound and James's voice. It is, Lulu is 100 times worse than Saint Anger. No, I can't.
Lulu's not a Metallica record.
I can't even talk about songwriting. I can't talk about composition. I can't talk about anything. I don't know how no one in Metallica's camp at any point raised their hand in this proceeding and went, guys, I don't know, like, no criticism of the material. Those drums
Lars's dad did. That's for goddamn sure.
You know, here's the thing.
Lars's dad is like, delete that.
The famous line, delete that. It's when you watch the film accompaniment to Saint Anger, when you watch Some Kind of Monster as you consume that album, it all becomes a lot more clear as to how a demented, as you said, record could be released. These people were demented. They were broken shells of themselves. This wasn't Papa Het the rock star. This was like an alcoholic screaming for help. This was a band having a meltdown, losing their second bass player, and just completely falling apart. No one cares about the integrity of the music anymore. It's all about egos. It's all about broken egos. It's all about, I don't even know. They are so far off from the plot at this point that, like, when you watch that movie, you're like, yep, no wonder this record makes no sense. They made no sense. They literally had a fucking therapist in the studio with
Big
them.
ups to Newstead to noping the fuck out of
Yeah, like Jason Newstead was like, oh, like, re-sign a contract, probably had $1 million signing bonus. Like, yeah, I'm good. I'm out of here, guys. I'm gonna go join Voivod, you know, like, peace.
The only problem with Saint Anger is the repetition. Too long song. I don't know. I don't know.
He hasn't even gotten through the fucking thing. Okay, so
Sorry, yeah, you go ahead. I'm
no, it's so cool. Basically, when I came across this record, I had already heard the stuff, prior. So the only thing that came to me as interesting, because I'd already heard like Reload and stuff like that, was that it was fast again. So I gave them like a notch for that. But I remember this CD came with a bonus DVD of them at the HQ, and they played the entire record. So I didn't even listen to the CD. I just watched that DVD. So if this production is fucking like haunting, they do a much better job of it on that DVD, but this is still going to go in the Y column for me. Definitely. It's like drop tune. That's not like them. There's no fucking lead guitar. That's not like them. Like you said, the vocal style, the drum production, you let the producer play bass where he just kind of filled in the sound. The bass doesn't do anything special. Like you said, a record that made no sense because at the time the band made no sense. You have alcohol ridden at one point, rehab, and then post-rehab recovery, Hetfield, all in the same record. What the fuck?
It's jarring as to how bad it is. And there's like this weird argument. I know there's going to be people in the chat who say, production and tuning aside, the riffs were good. Production and tuning aside, the riffs were good. Are there a couple cool banging riffs on there? Sure.
There's moments.
Yeah.
See, I found those moments because of that DVD where they're jamming it, and it's
Yes.
like actual amps, and the drums don't sound like they do on the record. And I'm pretty sure Rob is on bass anyway already. So like, check. I mean, if you don't give a shit about the record, I remember that DVD kicking ass because I was like 13 or something.
Like, it's supposed to have riffs though. Like, the guy's got riff life tattooed on his
yeah,
knuckles. Like, I'd you know, like a couple riffs from James the Riff God Hetfield isn't gonna save this fucking turd of a record. It's brutal.
I don't know if this is from the DVD, but who said the DVD of them playing Saint Anger is in their rehearsal space is killer from Jagsy. Yeah. So I mean.
Yeah. See, that's the way I like could get through the record, is like watching them jam it, and the production is way different, so you don't have to worry about like the way it's recorded, but you can just kind of hear it. But it's still, again, like it's NU metal, like Metallica, really.
Kirk pleading for a solo was fucking gold.
Yeah.
They committed a war
because it's like great.
They committed a war crime by torturing prisoners while filming the frantic music video in San Quentin.
Yeah.
Yeah, violated Geneva.
No, imagine being the lead guitar player in Metallica and then no longer having that job, and then you got to play all rhythm, but that's the guy you got to follow on rhythm.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I was finally getting the hang of the lead guitar thing, James. What the fuck? Yeah, the music video in the jail is pretty fucking hysterical too.
It's
everything about it's cringy. Sound. And there's this funny clip. Like, it's not, they're aware of how bad the album is. There's a funny clip.
They make fun of it like now. It's
a meet and greet from sometime in the last 10 years, and someone brings a snare for Lars to sign, and Lars is like, oh, yeah, I'd love to sign your snare. Can I show you the secret to the signature Stanger snare sound? And turns the snare off. Just clicks it off and hits it, goes bonk. Bonk is like, there you go, Saint Anger snare. And then he signs it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Oof, crazy.
I mean, the only props I give to that record is that it brought the band back. That's about it. You know what I mean? The fact so that I got to see them when I got to see them, because it was important to me.
It let them know there was a
people liked it.
There was a problem that needed to be addressed. Like they all got their lives together after this record. This was rock bottom.
Because I saw them on that tour when they were over here. It was 2004. I must have been like 13 or whatever. So they only played 2 songs, and everything else was fucking great. Like, they opened with Blackened. The first time I ever saw them, and they closed with Dyer's Eve. So it was the first time they ever played that song live. So I just happened to be there, like crazy. So they went Am I Evil into Dyer's Eve, but it was the Saint Anger tour. So that's the only props I give it. It was like, cool. They continued as a band, and I got to see them, in my formative years. So that's important.
I remember being in high school, or younger than high school, when that album was popular amongst my peers. Like, I remember my friends at school having the CD and the Saint Anger cover art, and it was like like people really liked it, and I, at the time, I was already like, so like, for a young kid, I still had enough taste to know that was not a good album. I'm like, oh, like, hasn't your fucking old man shown you Ride the Lightning yet? Like, come on, like, right? Yeah, like, listen to something good here. Yeah, crazy, weird.
I would have been 17 when this record came out, and nice. wasn't vibing. Wasn't vibing.
Hey?
No, not vibing.
No. He knows better.
No. Yeah, I was of an appropriate age to already be goofing. On it. Yeah. I mean, the only case I could make for it is that we'd need to make a new tier below Y, because I do consider this one of the most unlistenable records of all time.
No, you're right. I would listen to Load over Saint Anger.
100%. I mean, I've never listened to Load, and I would still, all the way through, and I would still do it. I mean, it is like I said, I'm not earbudsing this shit. I'm not using headphones that that have an Air Canada logo on them because I took them from a plane. These are very expensive headphones made by very talented Germans, and I I have to remove them because it hurts my ears. I don't know how else to say anything about this record besides it physically hurts, not emotionally, physically.
I mean, there's only two albums
left.
I'm
heated about the last one. I'm heated about it. But now we move on to 2008. Okay. Not so heated. Do not. I love the parody song that popped up from somewhere at the time where the guy who did it use an old metal chair for the snare. Like I said, Subway Bucket Drummer.
Hell yeah.
Death Magnetic, 2008. I mean,
I'm gonna put that. If I had to put it anywhere, I'd
fix
in the sea.
Stuff. Yeah, they fixed stuff a little bit. It was fine.
Production was like a very like garagey and like raw. Yeah. I get like, you had all the resources in the world, and you just have this kind of flat, not exciting sound.
Yeah, they paid
the songs.
They paid Rick Rubin a lot of money for that sound.
Just to lay on the couch and be like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, no, there's stories of him like requesting specific types of mattresses to like lay in the middle of the room and just like listen to the album like this and like tell 8 assistants what to do on the board. Like I don't subscribe to the Rick Rubin school of production for the modern metal album. It's not the move. And it sounds like shit. It really does sound like shit.
What I will say is it's actually been a little while since it's actually been a long while since we really have gotten a nice high out of Metallica, and there is a lot of like really heavy metal, like classic heavy metal-y sounding guitars on this, which while the production is crappy, it is nice to hear. It's 2008. They've fully shed any sort of new metal-y.
Oh, big time.
Any of that whole grunge got big and made everything brown, everything drab. No fun is allowed. Get that out of music. Yeah. We get speed, we get riffs, we get harmonies, we get the dynamics again of like, kind of, it's an in-between of like Justice and Black album somewhere amalgamated there, but obviously like 20 years later with the men they are at the time, but stylistically, definitely an improvement from Banger.
They mimicked themselves too, like the 1-2 punch is back on this album. As you say, it goes back to master Justice philosophy, ride philosophy of like 1-2 punch is the most important. I will say when it came out, I was, of an age where Metallica was still ruling my world. So on release day and on single release days, like I listened, religiously to those songs. And aside from the ballad, which I don't like, the Day That Never Comes, aside, I don't love that.
Not bad.
Yeah, not crazy about it. Not crazy about Judas Kiss. Not crazy about some of the more.
I like Cyanide. Cyanide is pretty cool.
Cyanide's great. All Nightmare Long is great. The first song,
the Apocalypse song is cool.
That Was Just Your Life, like And I went.
I remember that.
I saw that tour maybe the most times of any Metallica tour I've seen. I went to like 5 or 6 shows on that tour.
Damn, bro.
Dude, the songs. Because a lot of the shows they're playing 2 nights in every city. That was the thing. I saw them 2 nights in Quebec City. Saw them do a huge festival in Montreal. Saw them in the West Coast 2 nights in Vancouver. But yeah, the songs work live. I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. The only issue I take with it being in B for me, and I'll throw it out there, is that like that Black Album's also in B. Like I feel like we need everyone's saying like we need one more tier to keep the really shitty albums away from the decent albums up here. But like I don't think that All Nightmare Long, what's this called? What's this album called?
Magnetic.
Magnetic.
It's a B. I don't know the fucking title of it.
Yeah, because
I don't know the title, but it should be in B.
Yeah, Magnetic Worldwide of Hardwired to Self, the tour that just the last 20 years of Metallica touring, which has just been very confusing.
I'll say I could be wrong. Again, an hour and 15 minutes. I'm not giving Metallica post 2000s an hour and 15 minutes of my time. You have
but you get
it's like low.
You get Unforgiven 3 here, bro.
Yeah,
I have not heard Unforgiven 3.
There's a third one, bro.
It's a low B.
I'm normally very thorough with my research for these streams. I listen to everything with all the other bands. With Metallica, I was like, dude, fucking no. No, like if I listen to 3 of these, like that's an hour and a half more than it would have taken me to listen to 3 records of any other band. An hour and a half. That's 2 records of any other band. You're not. These 3 records do not stack up to 5 records of any band. So I'm gonna put a poll in the chat: Death Magnetic, B or C? I mean, fuck off. If you think B, get fucked.
For that same reason, Decay was like, Black Album's in B, so you can't really.
That's my only issue.
I personally wouldn't put either of these in B, but if I had to choose between them two, I think I like the songs better on Death Magnetic, but I like the creativity and the production and like the way things turned out on the latest one. Like I'm a sucker for when Hetfield does those fucking Thin Lizzy style harmonies, and those are like all over that newest record. So I fuck with that.
Hey, we just got Sunfire TV rating.
Sunfire with the raid incoming.
129, very kind. Thanks so much for coming out. Drums. We do love drums. Right. We do love Costa Rica. We love all of it. We love Sunfire around here. Thanks so much.
How is B winning? I'll tell you how B is winning, because the album is not fucking bad. Because the album's not fucking bad. I was shocked that you just said that you might take the later
Hardwired
offering. Yeah, Hardwired. To me, Hardwired's a way worse album. I think the songs suck.
See, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like song wise, I like Death Magnetic, but then production wise and like stylistically, there's stuff on the new one that like if you had taken like the production quality of this one and flipped it, Death Magnetic would probably sit way higher for me.
Fuck yeah, I liked it when it came out. As I said, maybe that ballad, but no, fucking Judas Kiss, all that shit. But yeah. The first 2 tracks are fucking killer. All Nightmare Long, that drop D riff, come on, man. Fucking so good.
Man.
Where's Lulu? It's not a Metallica album. We decided we're doing Metallica studio albums.
Metallica albums. In the same way there's no Garage, because it's like, it's got to have
compilation,
original material.
Banger.
Yeah, Lulu's collaboration.
Banger stream, folks. If you guys don't follow Sunfire already, make sure you do. She's an awesome drummer from Costa Rica. Great channel, really fun, fun. We're hanging with Carlos Cruz, one of my favorite drummers in the world right now. Plays Warbringer. This is Blaine.
Thanks for having me.
AKA Metal Comedy. I'm Daniel DK. We do the stream here. We have our own channels. We're all up on this Twitch shit. So make sure you follow us in all the places. Check out Carlos's band Warbringer. They're the fucking best. They're the best.
They're the best.
Yeah. We're ranking Metallica records. We do 2 streams a week, and one of them is our program called Lock Horns, and this is it. So we tier rank a band's entire discography or essential albums from a genre. So this is Banger's Twitch presence. So come hang out with us twice a week. Do it. Yeah. So we're on our final 2 records. We went chronological. So we're at Death Magnetic and Hardwired to Self-Destruct.
So Death Magnetic voted into the C tier with 31 votes, where I think it's
Death Magnetic ended up in C, but it's above.
Ended up in C.
It's above Reload though.
Fine.
Not fine. It's way above Reload.
Oh yeah, for
Stop
sure.
it. Stop it.
I don't know.
Blaine, you're gonna have to listen to the Unforgiven series like back to back.
Gotta listen. You really gotta watch them all. You gotta listen to them all 3 back to back. It really, I mean, it's like the Lord of the Rings film. It's like the director's cut of the Lord of the Rings movies. You really gotta watch all 3 together. Otherwise, you're missing the true experience.
Blaine is off the rails. Blaine just hates Death Magnetic for some reason.
Just a little bit of I don't know. There's nothing on Death Magnetic I want to hear.
Didn't do anything for him.
There's nothing better than Fuel. I'll still say that. Fuel is dragging that fucking record out of the sewer by fucking just one jacked arm. Like just fucking one huge arm. Just one of those guys that's in like professional arm wrestling competitions for a living. Just fucking pulling that record up with Fuel tattooed on his chest.
You know what's funny is like some of the songs on Beyond Magnetic, which was like the follow-up of like B-sides and whatever shit. Right. Some of those songs are fucking better than the songs that made the record.
Album, yeah.
Noose, welcome to the chat, says Metallica album with the best songs, Death Magnetic. Metallica album that sounds the worst, Death Magnetic. We talked about the bad production.
Yeah.
Sounds like Rick Rubin took a day off making that album.
Yeah, that was when that whole loudness wars was like really prevalent, and like the clipping, you heard shit like click and pop because it was too fucking loud. There's no like natural dynamics.
Yeah.
Again, it was just like a garage record. But I did hear the story of Rick Rubin is like, here, we're all going to sit in the room. We're all going to listen to Master Puppets together. Like, go back to your 1985 self when you wrote this.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's like a way different life. It's 2008. It's for 20 years later. They're not the same people.
They listen
you're just not going to.
You're
not going to get the same result.
They listen to Master Puppets and we're like, damn. We fucking suck now. And he's bummed making a record. This record fucking sucks, guys. I think we can all come together.
And for everybody coming in who's like, hey, where's the rest of the albums they're missing? We do have an S tier. We're just, check out the full list here.
We just haven't looked there for a little while.
We just haven't been put an album in the S tier since, 1984. Yeah, 1986 was the last time that we stepped into the S tier. So there you go. Yeah. So there's our full tier list thus far. We have one album left to place, which is Hardwired, which is the bottom of the C tier for me.
Yeah. Apparently there's an alternate. Someone said there's an alternate
for Death Magnetic.
Yeah, Eyes of the World says there's an alternate mastering of Death Magnetic available digitally and on vinyl that sounds way better.
Yeah, I think that Lysergic was saying it's like a version that was used for the video game or something.
Oh,
there was like
like Guitar Hero or something.
There was Guitar Hero Metallica edition.
I mean, the creators of Guitar Hero and a couple other rhythm games have talked about. They're like, what's the biggest challenge? And they're like, you understand we have to get like separate tracks for all the instruments, right? Do you have any idea how hard that can be with some of these fucking songs? Just like, hey, can you send me just the drums from, I don't know, fucking Rumors? And people are like, just the drums.
Seriously, bro.
We almost killed each other. You think just the fucking drums are sitting around?
People saying, so it's Pate Bob saying Magnetic should be B. That was my general gut thought as well. But check out my logic against it was that the B tier currently only has the Black Album in it.
I think the Black Album is a great bouncer for
I think it's the bouncer. It's at the front door. It's like, nah, you can't come in.
Hey, look, if I'm out here, you ain't getting in there, buddy.
You ain't coming in, yeah, basically. I mean, there really isn't going to be like that tough of a riff on any of those four records besides like what's on Black Album side. He's guarding the fucking gate.
Yeah, he's the gatekeeper, and we're okay with that.
Yeah. Now we're running out of time. So last record, Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Massive disappointment for me because this came out the year before I started working out. The year before I started working out to lift fucking shit up one arm.
Now he's fucking jacked.
No, this came out the year before I started working at Banger, so I didn't get like an advance of it. I didn't even know they were putting out a new record because I wasn't like fucking checking the pulse of Metallica in 2016. I was driving to an out-of-towner, and at the time I only had a CD player in my car, and so for out-of-towners I would listen to the radio a bunch, and I was listening to like whatever fucking North Bay's classic like fucking hard rock station, whatever that shit that is.
Cool.
Because once you get into the country, you can always rely on there's going to be a decent classic rock station. And Hardwired, the single came on, and I was like, hey, that's pretty fucking good. Like, that's pretty good. That's pretty. I mean, especially like 2016 Metallica. My expectations are. I hated Death Magnetic. No, Saint Aaron. No. Like I said, last fucking Reload. I'm sort of okay with. So I was in like the huge nope category. Especially, again, that age thing, right? I was in the age to like Death Magnetic came out, and I wasn't like. I didn't have any sort of just no sway by being like, oh, well, all my friends are listening. So Hardwired, I was like, this is fucking awesome. This is a really great song. And then I was like, I can't believe it. Metallica is going to release an album. They're doing that thing that a lot of bands are doing right now. Classic sound album. Why not? Nothing to lose. You're fucking richer than the world. Just make an album that sounds like your fucking old albums, man. Make everybody happy. Right. And I thought they were doing that. That's not what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then you listen to the whole thing, and just perplexing decisions. I mean, Dream No More sounds like they're like trying to make a Soundgarden song, which is like weird. And then like Halo on Fire, James thinks he's singing a certain way. He can't sing like that. He thinks he's singing like that. He's not singing like that. That song sounds weird as fuck. And then the strangest thing for me though is Man Unkind, which like fucking 80s cool Mustaine title, would have been like, well, that's an embarrassing name for a song. Like even he would have been like, that's a pun I ain't touching.
Right.
The video for it, they get fucking
Lords of Chaos.
And they just make a Mayhem. They literally copy everything Mayhem for the video. And then it sounds like a fucking LA Guns song. It's like, what the hell? If you're gonna jack Mayhem, can't we like jack a little bit of Mayhem in sound? Do a fucking Metallica. Play a little black metal. It's popular right now.
A little bit.
Again, what's to lose? Why not experiment? But you're like, hey, you know that scene we came up in? Let's just sound like that for a song. And you're like, what the fuck? Who asked for
one song?
Who asked for just one?
Basically, the album opener and the closer are the only things that really like struck me as like.
Okay, here's my Okay, so first off, the album opener is just the same. It's the black
Motor Breath.
It's the Motor Breath and Blacken vibe. It's the tritone Blacken riff that they use on That Was Just Your Life. Like they know what to do. It's the first album on the song. Exactly. Yeah, it's the same fucking riff. So that's my piece on that song. It's a less good version of That Was Just Your Life, and the closer is Spit Out the Bone, right? Everyone fucking bro, they just fetishize this song, and they're like, wait till Metallica plays it live, wait till they play it live. Like, dude, it's got one riff in it. You guys are just excited because there's something that resembles a thrash riff. It's like, but other than that, it's the Dire Z verse. That's all it is, man. Leave it alone.
Basically, yeah.
Super overrated. Like, I couldn't believe that's what people were getting all excited about was Spit Out the Bone. And I listened to the song, I'm like, This is what we're excited about. This 4-note riff.
I've got to burn. I know I said I'm nicer over here, but I got to burn a chat member. They said they're more interested in appealing to the Stranger Things crowd than their hardcore fan base. The Stranger Things crowd likes Master of Puppets. That's what they popped off about. Even the Stranger Things crowd wants Master of Puppets Metallica back.
So even before that whole hype came about, I do recall like the earlier character who kind of played the same role, who was like the badass with the Trans Am. He had a tank poster on his wall and a Kill 'Em All poster on his wall.
Yeah.
Even though everybody gives the new guy the credit for puppets or whatever, like the other guy was way like old school.
Yo, that guy had Tank and Kill 'Em All. He's way cooler.
Tank. I love the Tank one too, though. Yeah, Tank and Kill 'Em All, and he was listening to in season 2 because I'm just watching it because I want to catch all the metal shit. He was listening to in season 2. He was listening to, is it Fight Fire with Fire?
Four Horsemen.
Four Horsemen. Right? He's listening to Four Horsemen. Yeah.
And his like dad comes in and gives him shit or something.
Yeah, Billy. Yeah, fucking dad comes in and punches him. Like that's I do like that. That's general people's like. Okay, a kid's gonna get hit by his dad. What would he be listening to? Metallica.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So this is at the bottom of the C.
I wouldn't put it at bottom. I'd put it above Reload.
Oh, you put it above Reload.
I thought that we established Reload was only on there because we really like that one.
Because it's better than Load.
Because it's better than Load.
Yeah. Well, so then Death Magnetic. This Reload. I'm with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it this Death Magnetic Reload?
Above Reload, above Death Magnetic.
I don't put it above.
What is it?
I think Death Magnetic.
What are these people?
Load is better. Reload is better than Hardwire. Okay, here we go.
So we need to do.
No, that's what I'm gonna ask these people.
Yeah. We're doing a poll.
Pull.
It's worse than Saint Anger. Okay, we got some hot takes here.
That's crazy.
Hey.
World Wired to self-tour.
Wired to the top of the sea. Well,
mid-sea.
So yeah, basically like what I got out of Hardwired was just like, okay, every musical element the band's ever done, ever tried, one record. They got the fast thing, but then like the whole middle of it is the groovy, like you said, more grungy. There's some cowboy shit in there. There's some those weird vocal harmonies like you get in Load and Reload. So they just basically did everything that they've ever done and put it on like one record and bookended it with, you know, thrash songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate.
Okay, so you've got 3 choices. Hardwired 2, the top of the C. It's better than Reload, or bottom of the C in brackets C. I like to have some.
Vote. Yeah, that was a good pun. It's very punny. Follow Blaine. He's a comedian.
Follow DK. He's a shred master.
Thank you.
And you can't follow Carlos on Twitch, but you can
Yet.
follow him on Twitch.
Not yet.
Warbringer. Yeah, get on Twitch.
Go see Warbringer and Heathen live.
Yeah.
It's a great tour.
Yeah.
Hitting the stage.
And yeah, let's get
Yes,
a full Necro sound. Let's get a full Necro sound record. I'm asking for it.
A full. I've only delation, but I will everything.
Here, or just put the two EPs on one record and call it a full.
Red 5 is hilarious. If only Kirk didn't lose all those riffs in 2015. And for anyone who doesn't know this story, real quick aside, Kirk Hammett claims that the reason he felt incredibly removed from the songwriting and recording process on this album is because all the amazing riffs he wrote for it were lost on his iPhone in 2015.
I lost on his iPhone. So I was actually
also, all the solos are improvised on the album. It's very obvious that on Death Magnetic they are structured solos, and on Hardwired they hit the record button and he did 10 takes and they comped the best ones. It's very obvious.
I just a little nugget for you. So I really like those Necro Sound EPs. I won't shut up. So I was listening to one right before you came on, and I listened to it on YouTube Music. And YouTube Music was like afterwards like fucking froze. Normally it has recommendations. It did not know what to do when I put a Necro Sound EP in after. So the 2 songs I got after it was Who Dem by Capleton and Listen to the Music by the Doobie Brothers. It was like, I don't know, here's a bit of left, a bit of right for you.
Yeah. And Zister, what's up?
But I do love those EPs. And hey, oh yeah, let's put some links in the chat.
Yeah, link to all the things. Okay, bottom of the C. Hardwired is worse than Reload.
I agree. Again, nothing beats. I mean,
Okay.
I look. Hardwired's decent, but again, Fuel doing the fucking lift.
Ooh, what happened?
No,
That high.
No, Fuel, Memories, cool. Devil's Dances, gritty. Unforgiven 2. It's cool. Yeah, see, like at least those I kind of know what the fuck's going on. So I'll give it more credit than most do.
Thoughts on the Man Unkind video? We did just talk about this.
So silly.
We did just talk about this. Yeah, it's very strange to steal tribute, whatever, to just rip an entire Mayhem performance and then not sound even a touch aggressive.
Like not even use the most aggressive song on the album.
Yeah, very weird. Yeah, if that was the music video for Hardwired, I might actually feel differently about this record. I would have been like, I don't care, man, that's fucking hype. Oh, weird.
Yeah, see, different execution.
But yeah,
there's a link to the Warbringer most recent record, Weapons of Tomorrow, in the chat. I reviewed it on Banger when it came out.
Hell yeah, you did.
Gave it a glowing review
and a link.
We appreciate it.
A link to Necro Sound. Everybody buy Necro Sound. Stream that shit. Buy that shit. Look, Blaine's so good with the links.
Hot links.
Hot
all
links
the tickets,
coming through.
All the records. Yes, sir.
So how does everyone feel about our tier list? Tell us how you really feel, chat. I think we've done a great job here.
And just a quick note, I got caught by the auto mod for good reason. Ben Abu, I know I didn't do it. I told you that was an auto suggestion by Google, which was weird. for what Who Dem is about. We don't need to get into dancehall music right now. that's no one here is here for that. So I think here we'll disappear for a second.
Let's look at this tier list.
Let's look at this tier list. There we go. this is where we ended up, chat.
All right, so S tier, very obviously, Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning.
Master of Puppets being your favorite, taking the spot above Ride the Lightning.
But that was chat voted. Close. You can't get mad at us.
Yeah,
that was chat voted.
That was chat voted. The personal take was
I said
Ride
Riddle
the Lightning
over Master. Yeah.
In S. Kill 'em all and coming in above Justice. But both lived in A. The forever bouncer of the Metallica catalog. Not good enough to be in the top 4. Not trash enough to be down there with their mistakes. We've got the Black Album residing invisibly on a gray background. Then we've got Death Magnetic coming in above Reload, coming in above Hardwired. We have Load sitting in Y. I mean, I hate Load, but even slightly unfairly next to Saint Anger, one of the true mistakes.
Death Magnetic should have been in B. That's my call for my here because it's a band we're all hella passionate about. Here's my pick for 2 mistakes of the day. Ride the Lightning should be above Master in the S tier, and Death Magnetic should be below Black Album in the B tier.
It's because you're in your 20s.
I wish we were in our 20s.
Or what are you, 30?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, he's like, I'll take it. Yes, sir.
You're younger than
Thank
me.
you so much, Blaine. What do I buy you dinner now, or?
Oh, you. Yeah. Okay. The S tier is perfect, says JD. I know TV agrees with DK. Hellion Angel Ripper's 20.
Lucky.
To me, Death Magnetic is a B. Yeah, look, we've got some disagreements. That's the way it's going to be.
But this was the fan, the chat voted, and that's the beauty of this is that it leaves things to be argued about that we can come and revise. We can do a revision episode at the end of the season. We can do all these lists, quick revisions. You guys bitched enough. We did it, We listened to you guys, but you picked this. So argue amongst yourselves because we've done our job. We put it to the chat.
We did it. This is us steering the ship, but you're the passenger.
So here's where I'm gonna leave it off. Like with the way that we charted this whole thing. Look how badass the top 4 album covers are compared to everything underneath.
I know, right. Truly.
They really lost some artistic direction in terms of album covers, and I'm not just talking about Common Blood,
Yeah, no. One of the worst things about Hardwired is definitely whatever the hell they thought they were going with there. It looks like it looks like an ad for a Metallica cologne.
Yeah.
Hey,
no, that just goes to show.
Yeah. Deadpan. I mean, the cover of Load looks like a pretty cool fire until you find out. And then you're like holding the record when you find out too, and you're like,